Jumpstart. I'm so glad you're here. I'm Leslie Garr, and I'm your host. I'm also a writer and a performer. And on Creative Jumpstart, we talk to creatives of all kinds. We want to know about their creative work, what they do, and how creativity is a part of their everyday lives. If you've been here before, you might remember that this podcast was actually called My Effing Desk. We've had a little rebrand, a little more SEO friendly, and now we're called Creative Jumpstart. So if you're here from before, thank you for joining us again. Welcome back. And if you're just joining us for the first time, I'm really excited for you to be here. My first guest this season is Katey DiStefano, better known as the Mother Octopus. Katey is a content creator, a meme maker, a freelance writer, and she's been featured in all kinds of stuff. Besides having a great following on Instagram and Facebook, her work has been in Scary Mommy, HuffPost, Today Parents, Pregnant Chicken, Red Tricycle. The list goes on. And she's also just freaking hilarious. So welcome to Creative Jumpstart, Katey DiStefano. Hey, Katey, welcome to Creative Jumpstart. It's so good to have you here.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited. This is our first time ever chatting.
It is like if you don't know, guys, we're both humor writers. And so it's a fairly small world. I feel like, especially for women, it's like we get siphoned off to certain, they relegate us to the corner. But it's fine because we all just drink martinis together or mocktails and just have fun.
Yeah. It's a small knit group of like funny ladies who don't really give a fuck, who are also moms, and they're just kind of like living their dirty, messy lives out loud. And so we kind of all gravitate towards each other, whether somebody's sharing you or I'm seeing an article or something like that. It's like we kind of all gravitate towards each other.
Yes. And definitely, I feel like our type of humor, Katey, because we're definitely, I've been kicked out of a mom humor group or two because I was a little too edgy. So, but
Yeah, I got that the other day when I wrote the post about the norovirus, how I literally shit everywhere.
Tell everyone about that.
I think I died and came back to life. I contracted the virus, and it just came out of nowhere, and I could not control my body in any way, shape, or form. My poor daughter was taking care of me. She's just turned 18. So I was like, all right, I feel like this was a good, like, traumatic event to put her in right before she goes to college, because who knows what she's going to see in college. I feel
That's
like
right.
Shook her up and kind of set the bar
high. This is like good prep.
Her.
This is completely prep for, taking care of friends after frat party or whatever.
I know. She'll be like, can I have $20 to go to Taco Bell or whatever? And I'll be like, well, you did see me naked yesterday in the bathtub. So yeah, here's you earned it.
But you know what? It's payback. How many times do we have to clean them up? And eventually they're going to be changing our diapers anyway. It all comes full circle.
Our time will come.
It will. So that's your creative work then, right? Like, turning life's shitty moments, sometimes literally, into humor.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't really know any other way, I think.
Yeah.
It's really, for me, it's genetic. I do think my parents are both characters in their own right. My dad passed away about a year ago, but his family, especially, just a whole gaggle of comedians. So I really grew up just always laughing, and always just watching this absolute comedy show of these people with incredible timing and just far out, insane senses of humor, like just battling back and forth. And that's just how I grew up in it. And so I got a lot of my voice from that. But then I look at my mom too, and I'm like, she's not right either. Like, she's also deeply funny, but she just got a different way about it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're both misbehaved, and they're both, wild. They were wild children at one point or in their own right. So like, I just feel like it's genetic. I just inherited all these traits.
I think that is so much of it. Like, just growing up seeing that's how you deal with things, or that's how you entertain. It's sort of for every season, really, when things are really horrible, when they're really great. And I can relate. I feel like my dad is a storyteller. Just, I mean, the story bears little resemblance to reality of what actually happened, but everyone's engaged
Yeah.
and super funny, kind of silly. And then my mom's side is very dry, like just kind of dry, cutting, sarcastic
Yeah.
humor. And yeah, it just all goes into the
Yeah.
melding pot. And
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's a good time. I like to laugh. I love to laugh. I love to make people laugh. It's probably like my biggest drug
yeah.
addiction, is just if I can make you laugh, like I'm happy. I've done something. You know what I mean?
Well,
So
you and I were talking about that on Instagram not too long ago about that sort of being, as you phrased it, the bright side of the apocalypse of just all the shit show that's going on in the US right now, where we both are. You
yes.
in New York, I'm in Texas.
Mhm.
And good Lord, if you cannot laugh right now,
Yeah.
you're not going to make it.
Yeah, I think we have to really live there and working in online publishing a little bit and trying to, and also on social media, like trying to decide what you're going to push out to people.
Yeah.
Like, um, am I putting something out that's going to piss people off? Am I putting something out that's going to bring people together? Am I putting something out there that's, going to just make somebody laugh? Something that,
Hmm.
something a little bit inspirational that people can kind of like see themselves in a different way. Um, so there is a minute for pause sometimes on a lot of the things that I write or make. Um, for myself personally, because I do have more freedom that way instead of, working for whoever I'm working for at the moment and doing social media for them. For my own social, it's what is this going to do to people? It's not so much how I look, obviously.
Mm.
A lot of my
Hmm.
posts, I don't really care so much how it's going to make me look a lot of the time.
Yeah.
People will be like, God, you just really will say anything, won't you? And I'm like, that's just how I am in everyday life, though.
Right.
And for good or bad, that's just, I'm an oversharer. I swear a lot, way too much, probably. Like, um, but when people criticize something I make, unless it's something like that, I look back at it and I'm like, that's ignorant or that's hurtful or something about it, then I'll take it down. But if it's something where I'm just embarrassing myself, like it's fine.
Yeah.
That's just,
I
I
was
don't
going to
know.
ask you about that because you have, a huge platform, many, many followers, and I'm just starting to get that. Like I hovered around on Instagram, especially was never just my platform. I tend to write longer stuff. And really ever since I started doing, I don't know, just like reels about what the fuck, what's happening here, and just sarcastic stuff commenting on, I don't know, the latest atrocity that's been passed or
Yeah.
whatever. And people have really liked that. So just
Yeah.
overnight, like I think over the past month, I've gone from like 1,000 followers, which literally I was there for years and I was just like,
Yeah.
it's fine. I don't really care.
Right.
To I've got 13,000. It's going up like
Yeah.
a few hundred a day. And
Yeah.
so I think having gone from a small page to all of a sudden, it's still not huge, but it's huge for me.
Right.
I used to be able to see all the comments and like decide if I wanted to comment back or not, or, have some control. And now it's just like a fire, just
Yeah.
boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
And, the troll stuff, it can be annoying sometimes. It's actually great material, but I feel like what really bugs me is when I like to do satire a lot. And
Yes.
when people don't get that it's satire, that
Right.
drives me crazy when they'll take it literally and be like,
Right.
oh, no, you this or this. I'm just like, I get
Guys.
mad, but I know
Yeah.
that that doesn't bother everyone. Does it bother
Yeah.
you, or how do you feel about that?
I had somebody the other day who, when I shared the norovirus thing, she was like, don't you just want to ever keep anything to yourself? And I was like, now that you mention it, no, I
No.
don't. And I honestly, I don't in my real life. I don't like everything. I am an open book for the most part. I am just an open book. Like wherever we go on the sidelines of my kids' games, I'm being obnoxious. I'm saying raunchy shit. Like, but it's just who I am. And that's sometimes just being who we are is overcoming a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? Having
Yes.
this, people don't know how much strength it really takes to put yourself out there like that. And
I'm going to
that's
frame
where,
that.
yeah. And that's where
It's
the magic
true.
comes in, I think, because like you said, the second your voice changed a little bit to your more authentic voice, that's when people started to connect to you. And,
Yes.
and it's strange to me because that's what people struggle with the most.
It's funny because I'm kind of the opposite from you. Like if you asked any of the parents at my kids' schools or even like past coworkers, I used to be a teacher, and they would be like, "Oh, that's the most buttoned up."
Yeah.
Like, I think I totally have RBF for sure. And it's like, "Oh, she's this very kind of sophisticated, like proper woman." And I do like that is completely what comes on when I step out
Right.
the door. But a lot of times, it's just like, especially in school settings, like I don't feel like messing with it. Like I don't want to do the small talk and stuff.
Yeah.
And so many times, because people don't understand, they don't, when I try to be funny or when I try to like let my real self out, they're just kind of appalled.
Yeah.
And so the stuff online, I feel like is more me,
Yeah.
which maybe is why it's a little more hurtful when it's like, what the fuck? Like,
I know. And that's the next part of it. You just have to be like, I'm not making content for really for anyone else. I'm making it for me. Because my
yeah,
Instagram has been at the same number and my Facebook have been at the same number for years now. And I'm not really trying to grow them. I'm just doing what I want to do and like what drives
yeah,
me. Something that I think is funnier. If I have a random thought, like in the line at the grocery store, I'll go home and write it down and just turn it into like a quote or a meme or something. And, you know, you really have to have a thick skin and you have
hmm,
to just be like, I'm not going to read the comments, or I am going to read the comments and I'm going to turn that into something else. Like I I read the comments, but I don't let them bother me. Like the other
mm,
day, a woman was like, I don't understand like women who talk like this. And I don't understand women who don't talk like this.
right.
You
I'm
know what
worried
I
about
mean? Like,
those people.
yeah, I feel more uncomfortable in a quiet situation where people are not being themselves. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard. But the other thing is like sharing on social media is different than sharing in a public setting. Like, if I couldn't do a presentation in front of 20 people at work without throwing up.
Oh, it's so different.
Absolute
Yeah.
panic attack. But meanwhile, when I was working for Scary Mommy, I did a series of Instagram stories where I was having my a Brazilian wax. And like while
Forgot about that.
yeah, and like I'm like, it was me and my waxer, and we're cracking up just like we always were, like when I would go see her.
Yeah.
And no shame, like that, it doesn't bother me because it's going out to an invisible audience. Like I can't see the audience members.
Right.
And it's so different than actually being in a room with humans who are looking at
Totally.
you and you can feel their thoughts on you. Um,
So
so I
you
feel
haven't done anything on stage at all? You haven't done any sort of humor or like or anything?
no, I'm petrified. Well, I gave my dad's eulogy. Um,
Was it funny?
it was a little funny. Yeah, it was a
It had
little fun.
some, yeah.
Um, he didn't really need any humor in it, but I did it and I didn't want to. I
Yeah.
was petrified. And the priest who actually did his funeral was a longtime family friend, and he was someone that my dad actually grew up with and went to high school with. And he was actually my teacher when I was in high school.
Oh, wow.
Father Mike Gaffney, a gem of a human man. I went to Catholic school for 12 years. So
Mhm.
that could explain some things. So um, my mom was on the phone with him and they were talking about the service, and he kept saying, well, Katie's going to give the eulogy. And my mom was like, she doesn't feel like she can do it. And he was like, I've seen her writing. She is doing it. I don't know how else to say this to either of you, but like it's happening. Like I don't,
Yeah.
she'll be on stage after the homily. Just let her know. And I just had to do it. And it was good and it felt good. And it was a complicated relationship. So
Mm,
it was a hard thing to write like from the heart, but also being a little bit cautious. Um,
right.
but yeah, it came together. But that, another space and time when you're
For
giving you,
sure.
you know what I mean, or during
I'm
that
sure.
time. So it
I
was
wonder
good.
if that's why he stepped up, that like he had some sort of clarity that you needed to really do it, that
Yeah.
you being in the thick of it maybe couldn't see yet or something.
Yeah. And I'm always glad when I'm pushed to that
Hmm.
space where it's like, just like, you don't want to do this, but you have to do it. Like, you have to do
Right.
it. So just think about the 5 minutes from now when it's done,
Yes.
you know?
Did
So,
you have any of that? Because there are moments where you're serious
mm,
on your accounts, like talking about your divorce, talking about sobriety.
mm.
Is it that same kind of push of I'm uncomfortable and this needs to be done? Or is it kind of more of just like, this is what's happening and this is what's coming out today?
Well, so that's interesting when we were talking about you using like you changing up your voice just a little bit. That's what happened to me when my divorce started.
Hmm.
I was really just memeing up until then and doing some influencer stuff. My kids were younger, so I was making more relevant like kid parenting comment or content on social. And then my husband left. So everything kind of stopped for a minute. And I was like, this is the thing that's probably going to give me life right now, leaning into
Yeah.
this because I am a writer at heart. That's what my degree is in. That's what I have always wanted to be, but never was, which is where my whole blog came from. And the name of my blog and my Instagram, it's all from this actually really kind of dark thing that happens to octopuses.
Tell us, wait, go off on that tangent. Let's
You've never
hear.
heard
So
about the Mother Octopus? Okay,
I
so
don't think I have.
that's always been in me, that fire to write and be honest and shock people with my words a little bit and I don't know, share my feelings. So I saw a video one morning when I was a stay-at-home mom, like deep in the trenches of it, about the female octopus. And I don't know if it was a specific type or if it was all of them. I'm sure it's different among different breeds, or different, species of octopus. But when the female octopus gets pregnant, she guards her eggs. So she'll get pregnant. I don't even know what the gestation period is, but she'll get pregnant and she will guard her eggs meticulously and like obsessively the entire length of her pregnancy. So she won't go out, she won't hunt for food, she won't eat, she won't do anything but stay like kind of just stagnant and like letting them grow and letting them, thrive. And then once they hatch, the mother octopus dies
Ooh.
because she has not had any
Right.
outside.
She,
Yeah, she's had nothing. She's totally deprived herself of every life-giving, you know, force that she needed. So
yeah.
that immediately just kind of like struck a chord with me. Like I feel like that's what happens to a lot of women. They dream about being a woman and they are being a mother and they just think about it. Their whole lives you think about it. And especially once you're married, you're like, we're going to start a family soon and we're going to have these kids and we're going to do this. And you make all these plans and you have this vision of it. And then the babies hatch
Yeah.
and now you're a mom and your kind of purpose for being really just shifts. And for
Yes.
me, that was very hard. And also going from a career in publishing in the city to now being a stay-at-home mom of two kids, that was a very stark contrast for me. And it, was what was happening inside me. I just didn't really know that's what I was talking about.
Right.
Um,
I
so
mean, just pause there for a second because man, I'm just taking it in. I feel like that's originally why I started the first iteration of this podcast called My Effing Desk. We've rebranded. But I was just talking to mom creatives who went through some form of that because I feel like creativity for so many people, and especially for women, is like finding that person again, becoming a person again, and not just this husk of a
yeah,
human that has been expected. And yes, you wanted it on some level, or maybe really wanted it,
yes, yes,
but have also been trained just since,
yeah,
the beginning that is what you will do. You will
yeah,
completely lose your identity as a person and turn it over to your kids and channel it into them.
yep,
And so, yeah, of course we get fucking depressed. Like, you're no longer you.
yeah.
You are mom.
Yeah. And,
And yeah,
that's something people talk about a lot now, like the self care movement, especially for moms. Like,
sure.
that's a thing that really wasn't around when my brand of mom content writers were really kind of thriving back about 5, 6, 7 years ago. We
Yeah.
weren't really talking about self-care as much then. We're doing it a lot more now. And I'm curious to see if people really start listening and like this next generation of moms is better about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's difficult. And, the dads play a big role in that as well, because in order for us to have our self-care time, we have to be confident that like there's no backlash. I
Right.
have a lot of friends who won't take a girls' weekend because they know when they get home from the girls' weekend, all of the weekend's work will still be waiting for them on Sunday night. All the laundry, the house will be a mess, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So, that's it's that looming responsibility, I think, that looming sense of responsibility that makes it hard for moms to do that because they know what they have to look forward to.
Right. There's going to be a
It's like
price to
double the
pay.
work a lot of the times. Yeah.
I
So,
feel like, then you have the trad wife shit that has come out of it. And it's almost like a response to women
yeah,
trying to take back some aspect of their lives. It's like, no, I'm going to be barefoot and cooking him dinner in the kitchen. Like
yeah. I mean,
anytime,
listen, I feel like if that's something you can do and your mentals are good with that and your heart is thriving,
for sure.
do it up. I envy you. I wish. I
Yeah.
just don't have that in me. I never had something in me where I said, I just want to be a mom.
I mean, it's the choice. It's always the choice. It's like,
Yeah.
if that makes you happy and that works for you, like you said, then go for it,
I
but
love
don't
to see
force
that.
that.
I do
Yeah.
love to see that because it's so different from me. And I have friends who are very type A moms, and I always call myself like a C- mom. Like, and I'm always in awe of them. Like, wow, man, your house is clean. You cook meals all week long.
I
You go to
know.
3 different grocery stores for the best deals on like meat. What? In
Bless
what
it.
life? Like, I would never. So
No,
to me, I'm like, wow, what is going on in their brain chemistry that's different from mine that makes this all like easily doable for them? Because I
but you
don't
know what though? The A plus moms need the C minus moms or
know.
whatever to say the things that they can't say. And I
Yeah,
feel like that's why people like you are so popular because it's like they
yeah,
may not even know they're thinking that of like, oh, yes, I
yeah,
did shit everywhere when I had norovirus. So I can't say that, but I can get, whatever, like some catharsis from it.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I just think there's value in that. Like we need that release of the perfection
yeah.
to make it through.
Well, here I am. Messy as all hell.
Release. You're like, you
Yeah,
know
like,
what?
listen, I tell my friends, like, listen, if you ever want to feel great about how clean your house is, just come to my house.
Oh yeah.
I don't care. I don't
No.
care. My girlfriend, her husband was away, my A plus mom
Yeah.
friend who I'm very close with. I actually have a few of them now that I think of it. She was like, my husband's going away for the weekend. I am home alone with my 2 boys for the whole weekend. I'm just going to be so lazy and have the best weekend and relax and not feel pressured to like keep the house tidy, like really tidy. And it was so funny because her husband has been away. She actually took yesterday off, which was a Monday. She texted me at like 10:30. I was like, aren't you at work? And she's like, no, I took today off too. And I was like, you're getting a taste of it, aren't you? You're getting a taste of being a
You
C
don't want to
minus
let
mom, and it feels good, doesn't it? Yes, it does. She was like, I may never do anything again. I go, I've been telling you for years.
you've corrupted her. You brought her to the dark side. I
Yeah.
love it.
She even told her husband didn't know she took the day off. He called her from out of town and he's like, are you home? She's like, yeah, I took the day off. He's like, what?
Are you
Why?
okay?
He was so confused. What do you mean? Why? What are you doing? What are you doing with your dad? I'm so confused. And I was like, my boyfriend would be shocked to hear that I did something.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't sound like you.
I love it. I don't think it's an accident that y'all are friends. I love
Yeah, no,
that.
I know. Definitely. And she said, like, this is why I need you because I need you to reinforce that, like, the things that I'm super stressed about all the time, like, don't really matter.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
So,
probably on the other end of the spectrum, like we're talking about. Like, I could probably be in a happy medium place somewhere there, but
but
a
that's why you're friends with her
little
because then you can see like, oh wait, no, I should, throw out this
you need a
rotten
Saturday where you
tomato.
sit on the couch and you don't do laundry and you don't clean your house and you watch 10 movies and
Yeah.
you eat bad food and you don't worry about going to your 5:30 spin class, like sleep in.
I know. I feel like my
Like,
husband does that for me to a point. He's from Argentina and he's, not to be stereotypical, but he is like the stereotypical just, he's fine. No, you Americans, you get so uptight. And it's true. Like, I feel like I've seen so much more of what is like kind of baked into our culture and just the need to maximize and optimize everything. Every time we go to visit his family in Buenos Aires and I come back and I'm like, oh wow, yeah, we're little rats on a wheel, like or hamsters on a wheel, just go, 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 go. And it
yeah.
is good to be able to chill
And
and
I think a lot of people don't like to think about that and acknowledge that.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they are okay doing the rat race things until they think about it for too long because that's
Hmm.
chilling. That is chilling to think my entire life has passed and I've just been doing this thing everyone has told me I'm supposed to be doing. Like,
Right.
it's just not me. I mean, I did it for a long time. I commuted into Manhattan for 10 years, and that's literally the rat race. That is it. And I was
And
in
what
it.
was that like? Because you were telling me you were in publishing and
I
you
worked for
worked
Rolling
for,
Stone and Us Weekly for 10 years combined. And I worked for Maxim for a year. I did a little stint over there and then went back to my beloved uh, Warner Media. Um, it was great. And I loved it. And I thrived in those
mm,
roles at that company. I stayed there for 10 years. It was an incredible experience. It was the best of times. I do believe in terms of my career because I was really um proud of my work. I was doing really difficult work. But
mm,
it was fun and it was exciting and it was constantly changing. So I fell right in there. And I made a lot of money and that was
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, of course.
Because I was also a C- student my whole life. So, just getting into the workforce and not having like, papers and essays and
Right.
exams and things like that was such a load off of me because I have found since my ADHD diagnosis that like you can see little pieces of it like throughout my entire life.
Mm,
And I can even see like where like I was dealing with it before not knowing. But when I became a stay-at-home mom,
makes sense, right?
next
Because
level.
it feels like a career like that would be conducive to ADHD, like work
Yeah.
really well with it being different every day, fast paced, and it's kind of constantly changing. That's like, it's not going to restrain you. It's working with your strengths.
Yeah.
And then like going just 100 miles an hour to, just at a snail's pace, which is what it can feel like when you're at home with kids by yourself. So
Yeah.
it
Your whole
makes perfect
purpose
sense.
changes and your whole, you know, I had great pride in what I was doing for a long time. It was hard. It was fun. Um, we had, it was Rolling Stone. It's as if you can imagine it. That's how it was.
Yeah.
Celebrities everywhere, people playing at our parties, like big name celebrities. There were always, Kardashians in the office and Bono and everybody walking around. So it was really exciting and fun, but I wasn't doing any kind of writing. I was doing manufacturing and advertiser positioning packages for companies or for our three titles. But like you say, like I was so wrapped up in it and busy in the routine, especially is something that I really need and cannot give myself. But that routine, I think, really kind of just kept it all in the little centrifuge. Like it was
Yeah.
rolling, so it was all spinning towards the middle, and then when all that stopped, it just went.
Right.
Mm,
Well, I'm glad that you found it's like you figured out what that outlet was going to be because,
yeah,
you mentioned you're feeling depressed and, or now you can look back and see that it was depression
yeah,
and that's what you needed. So
yeah,
we went way off on the Mother Octopus tangent, which I'm glad I didn't know that story. And I think it's a
yeah.
cool metaphor for a lot of stuff. But so basically when everything was happening when your husband left,
Mm,
you just brought that to your work and
yeah.
said, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
And
Like from
that
the
became,
first day, like that he left, I remember I think I posted something cryptic
mm,
at first, and then I immediately just I didn't care. And I was spiraling and I was heartbroken, devastated, shocked. And I just probably really overshared too much, but at the same time, it just felt right at the time.
Yeah.
Like I remember the day after he moved, I just went on my Instagram stories and I was like, I don't really know how to say this, but like my husband's leaving me and I'm devastated and petrified and I don't know what I'm doing and I don't know what's happening. And this is really terrifying. And I have so many feelings and thoughts, and it was just such a terrible time for me. Like, what can I do to help myself? And
Mm.
sharing and turning all of my feelings into words the way I did, that's where all my followers came. That's when all my followers came because my voice was so authentic, I think, at that time, because it was just pure pain coming out.
Yeah.
Um, but at the same time, I was helping so many people.
That's
I
what I
used
was
to send
wondering
them,
about. Did
yeah,
people come to you and say that
a lot.
mm,
And I used to send screenshots of the messages to my mother, who I'm sure was like spiraling with worry
yeah.
about me and like what was going to happen to me. And she's reading these words and she was always saying, you're so, you're such a talented writer. It's beautiful. But at the same time, I'm sure she was like, oh my God, is she going to come back from this? What's going to happen? Where's this going? Is she okay? Is she sharing too much? Are the things that she's sharing worrisome? I
Right.
was never in a place really where I wanted to harm myself. I was just really about sharing hope
Yeah.
because what I wanted more than anything at the beginning of my divorce was someone to tell me exactly like at what point that feeling was going to end. When
Mm.
was I going to feel better? When was I going to stop feeling this pain? And I wanted a timeline on it, like from everyone's experience. So every time I wrote something, people were in my DMs like, you're going through what I just went through last year, or somebody texting me and saying, did you leave your husband or did he leave you? Can you tell me? Because I'm thinking about leaving my husband, and or my
Wow.
husband just left me and I'm devastated. And what did you say to your kids? And like just a lot of that stuff. A lot of people not having anywhere else to go for that in their own life, but finding
Yeah.
me and like, let me ask her. Um,
Hmm.
and I always said, I'm no expert. I'm just like you. I don't know what's happening. I just happen to write about it. So, like, let's talk about it together. You tell me and I'll tell you. And, you know, it was surprising to see how many women were exactly like me.
Wow. That's the best of
Exactly like
social
me.
media.
Yes.
I mean, that right there, it's like it's caused so much harm in ways that we probably don't even know yet. But there's that really, really important side of finding people that are going through what you're going through that just did not exist before.
Mhm.
And what a gift.
Yeah. And the representation there, I think, for other women to just be like, I need hope. I need a little bit of hope to get me through this. I need to see that someone who is even a month ahead of me is still surviving through it. Like,
Right.
and that was important for me too. So it just really worked out for me that I was able to transform all of that stuff into like these words that helped people. But the catch 22 is that we always create the most meaningful art when we are in times of turmoil. So
Completely.
the more shit you have going on, the more you have to say. And I think it's hard for people to do that because I think a lot of times when people are going through a hard time, they shut down, they don't know what to do. Blah, blah, blah. I just happen to be like, I'm going to spin it out into the world like a spider web and just see what happens. Like, I don't care what happens really. Let's see. And it was
Yeah.
making me feel better. So really it was therapeutic for me. And it was helping other people. So I was like, why would I stop?
Right.
I
Right.
don't care what other people are thinking about me or saying about me. My ex-husband at the time had a problem with me like kind of airing our dirty laundry. And I understand that. I tried to usually keep it a little bit anonymous. Obviously, people who knew me and him were going to know I was talking
Right.
about him, but all the strangers reading it had no idea who he is. But
But it's also like it's your story too. I mean, I
yeah,
get that. I get from his perspective, but it's like I think Anne Lamott said something like that, right? It's like,
yeah,
well,
yeah.
guess you
It's
should
your
have.
story.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually posted one of her quotes about it, I think. I wish
I
I could
love
remember
it.
it right now, but
I
apparently
know, I know it escapes me, but maybe I'll do it because I'll pull it up in the outro. You know what? I'm
yeah.
gonna make a note for
Yes.
myself.
Yeah. And like
Don't
I
forget.
really pushed forward with that. Like it's my story. I'm gonna tell it. It's my story. I'm gonna just keep telling it because I wanted to kind of lead the way for other people. Like we're all going through this. Like let's see where it's going.
Let's
Like,
just talk about it.
yeah.
Let's try. It's like we don't have to go back into 50s mode of like,
Yeah.
let's just all take pills and pretend like nothing is
Yeah.
happening.
And before I had started the Mother Octopus, that was my first blog post was explaining the name, like where the name had come from, what my what I thought my purpose was starting that, this journey. Um, and I feel like it really makes sense to people because they really feel the same way sometimes. Like, yes, I became a mother and now I'm just a mom, which
Yes.
is the most important job in the world, but also like we need to be constantly keeping ourselves going and learning new things and trying new things and experiencing new things and going away with our friends for the weekend and not having to
That's
worry about
right.
all the laundry or the dishes. It's
And for our kids to see that, because then, especially the girls, you're both really, because if they decide to become parents too, then they will have that example of like, oh no, she was still
yeah,
Katey. Like
yeah,
she wasn't just mom. She
yeah,
was a
yeah.
whole,
No, I feel like just like you were saying when you switched up your tone just a little bit, it's all about the voice and the authenticity in your voice, and people can just hear it. I don't know what it is. It's a frequency. It's like an authenticity
yeah,
frequency that only kind of comes through when it's really what you want to say, what you want to say, and not
completely.
you're not saying it for other people. You
Oof,
know?
yeah. Those times where I've like tried to manufacture emotion, like
Yeah,
I'm gonna get them this time. They see
yeah,
through that immediately. It's just like,
yeah,
nah, nah.
yeah,
We don't want that. We want you. If you can tap into whatever your creative outlet of choice is at those times, I mean, the world just needs it. Like it's just so clear to
yeah,
hear that voice, to hear the glimmer, to even if it's just like, what the fuck,
yeah.
just to know someone else is feeling that way.
Well,
It's
and you
why,
know that feeling too as a writer. Like I I don't want to, I mean, I think of it like as an itch that needs to be scratched. Like when you have to write something and you don't even necessarily know what it is, you have that feeling that there's
yeah,
something in me that there's something that needs to come out right now. I just don't really know for sure what it is, or you could know a little bit. And I don't ever sit down and force myself to write. I just wait for it to come and then I just put it out.
yeah,
And I just feel like when you have scratched that itch, of saying exactly what you want to say or finding it come out of you in a way that you love, there's nothing better to that. That is, I feel like, what being a writer is and
yeah,
being creative because it's anything. It could be writing a song, it could be painting a portrait, it could be anything. Once you've accomplished that and that feeling goes away, that's like the best feeling. So,
yes.
my body and my mind and all my experiences are telling me to create something right now. And then when you do it and you're like, oh, I got it out. And it
Right.
feels
It
you
is.
feel so accomplished.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because that's being human. It's like
Yeah.
it's something that no other animal does really in that way. And
Yeah.
so,
And
I
I
mean, I
also feel
haven't
like that's
seen,
how I know that I'm not just faking it. Do you know what I mean?
mm,
Because you get imposter syndrome and you're like, all right, so I wrote a couple Instagram posts and people like them, like big whoop. But at the same time, I'm like, no, I felt something. There was a transaction there and I
yeah,
got something from it too. So I feel validated in it. I feel validated that something happened in me to make this
yes,
happen. Like this isn't just me sitting down being like words, words. Like no, it had an effect on me. There was something that drove me to it. There was
mm.
some creative impulse in me, or emotional impulse in me, whatever it was that put these thoughts in my head, and I had to get it out, and then I got it out. It's
Well, that's
weird.
just that goes back to what you were saying at the very beginning that you're doing it for you. It's
Yeah,
not for anyone else. That
yeah,
the attention or the acknowledgement or helping people is great, it's icing on
yeah,
the cake, but it's really for you.
yeah. Yeah. And that's why I just kept doing it. And then also, on the other side of the coin, once things start to even out and you start to chill out and you start to make sense of your pain and have the wounds maybe aren't as fresh anymore. Sometimes for me, I feel like a lot of that itch goes away because now I'm in a more settled place and I'm not feeling as torn up and triggered by certain things. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but that's where I feel like trauma is really an underrated gift for some people, depending on the trauma. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I think without having anything to shake up your life a little bit, a lot of people just coast.
Yeah.
They never really connect to any kind of true underlying like feelings or thoughts, and I don't know how to explain it, but I do just feel like the more that happens to you, the more you have to offer the world.
I
You know?
think it's totally true. I mean, it's kind of a age-old argument with art of whether or not you need kind of that grist for the mill. But I think, yeah, if I definitely notice that if I'm too in my routine or just too, I don't know, like if there's no new input coming in, then I'm just kind of, I got nothing.
Yeah.
It's like a
Yeah.
blank screen in my head.
Yeah.
So, and it's not like, because I can already hear the comments of like, wow, what are you saying that you want bad things to happen? Like, no, it's just life is going
No,
to happen no matter what, but being
right.
able to use it.
Yeah. That's what they say. The biggest flex is how you recover from something traumatic,
Yeah.
and that really has to be from you. Like that's your own hard work of pulling yourself out and lifting yourself up to get, to the next level or to the next point in your life of survival. Like, and I think that is what creates art. Without feeling anything, you've got nothing. I feel like you
Yeah.
don't you don't create art from sitting around and being bored. I
Right.
think art comes from inside of you, and there has to be some kind of shake up in there to move things around.
Well, we're shaking it up, and I hope we shook it up for everyone listening. And yeah, this was such a great, unexpectedly deep conversation, but I feel like it's always that way, especially with humor
Yeah.
writers. Like
Yes, and
we're,
of course, humor writers are the deepest.
yes,
You know,
completely.
you don't expect it, and then we get you with it.
That's right. We're like the Trojan horse. We sneak you
Yeah,
in with the dick jokes, and then
yeah,
it's like all just Tolstoy and the deepest stuff you
yeah.
can imagine.
Look at Robin Williams and Jim Carrey. Like they were the
Oh,
craziest, and then you sit down with them, and you're like, whoa, like these guys are.
philosophers. I mean,
Yeah.
for real. Yeah, it is so true.
Yep.
All right, I'm going to hit you with the final three questions that I ask
Okay.
people each time, and then we're going to say goodbye. Although I feel like we could talk forever. There's so
Yes.
much good stuff here. All right. So, my first question is if you weren't doing this, if you weren't creating content and writing humor, what do you think you would be doing creatively?
Um, I don't know an answer.
You don't know? Sure, it absolutely
I
is.
mean, the best job I ever had was a few years ago when I was working. It was right after my divorce when I just like needed some, money to get by and needed to get out of the house. I worked at a preschool, a Lutheran preschool for 2 years. I have no childhood education, like background, nothing. I have a writing degree and a philosophy degree. And I worked with 3-year-olds every day, and it was the most magical time of my life.
Yes.
I can't explain it to you. It brought me so much joy, and I'm still thinking about it. Like it's just, not having a living wage. So
No, I'm a former pre-K teacher, so I know exactly. I miss that so
that is
much.
you're just harnessing pure joy. Like it's insane.
Yes,
It's hurting cats, but at the same time, you're just like, look at these
I
little
know.
people. And they're saying the wackest things, but it's so funny. And they're so happy to see you. And no one in my house is happy to see me anymore.
Oh, I know.
So, it was just such joy. And also I wasn't the mom to my 3-year-olds that I can
Right.
experience now being with other 3-year-olds. Do you know what I'm saying? Um, so it was like getting to relive all that again. And I had the best time. Oh my goodness.
Oh,
I had the
I
best
love
time.
it.
I would like to do that. And I would have never expected that I would fit in a place like that. But being a little unhinged is good for being around kids.
It absolutely is. All right. Next question is, what is something you learned through your creative work that you wish you'd known earlier?
I think maybe my the guts it has taken to put myself out there because like I said, maybe at the grocery store I'm not about to get up and start tap dancing in front of the deli section with 20 people waiting for their turkey, but like I can do that online for some reason. Like I don't know why, but the fact that I have been able to do it and that it has affected people positively, I think that's like the biggest, you know, flex. I think that's what I get off on the most probably.
Mm, love it. All right. And the last one, what would you still like to do creatively?
Oh, I need to write my book.
Oh,
I'm supposed to be writing a memoir and
I didn't know about
I
this.
have one half of one page written. So
Hey, it's a start.
been working on that for 5 years.
You know, this is real,
I
real
need I
talk.
need to write my book, but I just think that there are some creative blocks there.
Hmm.
Um, my kids are old enough now to read my deep dark truths, so you worry about that a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm waiting for my kids to be a certain age where maybe it doesn't affect them as much. But that is on my number one list of things I've always wanted to do that I haven't had the guts yet to do that. So that's my thing.
You'll get there. You will. And I can't wait to read it when you do. And we'll all be there ready for it.
Let's
So,
hope. Let's hope. We'll see. Someday,
hope.
someday.
Yes. Thank you so much, Katie. This is great.
Thank you.
And
Yes, absolutely.
yeah.
This is awesome.
All right. I've got that Anne Lamott quote that I said I was going to pull up. Here it is. Anne Lamott in her book Bird by Bird, which P.S. if you're a writer, go grab that book. And even if you're not, she gets a little bit technical in it. So probably everything is not going to apply to you, but so much of what she describes is wonderful advice for any kind of a creative. Anyway, here's what she says. You own everything that happened to you. Tell your stories. If people wanted you to write warmly about them, they should have behaved better. I love that. I love that quote. But what I take that quote to mean, aside from just not worrying so much about what other people think, is that our stories are our stories. And if we feel like we want to share them, then we should. We shouldn't be held to anyone else's concerns for us or their own stuff that they're hung up about. It's our story. And like Katie and I were talking about, so much of the best creative work comes out of a vulnerable place. There's a difference between digging into your vulnerability and oversharing, right? And, sometimes we can step on either side a little bit more than we maybe mean to. It means that you are getting to the essence of the human experience. That's the stuff that resonates with people. And as Katie said, that's freaking scary to get to that place and share it with people, especially when they're all going to have an opinion about it. But if we want to make creative, meaningful creative work, that's what we got to do. Now, that doesn't mean that we're always ready for that at all times or for all subjects. There are some things that maybe we are not ready to share with anyone, or we haven't gotten to a place where we're able to turn it into some sort of a creative work, like I know for me in particular, it takes me some time to get through things and process them. They're not like I tend to write funny stuff, but there are so many things that are not funny at first, like no matter how I look at them, and even some things that never become funny. And those are things that I will never share. I'll never turn it into a joke. But the times that I can work through it and pull out that vulnerability and turn it into art. That is just chef's kiss perfect. That's what art is all about and creativity. I'm curious what you think about all this. So if you're watching this on YouTube, leave a comment below and tell us how you are vulnerable or not through your creative work. If you're not watching on YouTube, head over to our website at creativejumpstartpod.com and leave a comment on the episode. That about does it for this episode. So thank you so much for joining us. Hope to see you again next time. If you enjoyed what you heard so far, then feel free to subscribe and leave us a nice rating and review. Tell a friend about it. All of that really helps us to build an audience, helps out the show. You can also follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads, all at Creative Jumpstart Pod. That's it for now. And until next time, keep on creating.